They got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems. I solve them. I run through the money. The pressure be calling. Left on my blessings. I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something. That's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression is all that I wanted. The phone and affection. I summon and dub it. Cause I got problems on problems.
What's going on, people? It's the Xbot 448, and yes, I am live with another live video, and this is a special one. This one is kicking off 2020, and what better way to kick off 2020 than to take a look back, see what people are talking about, set some records straight, and then we can move on from here. What is going on, Talus, my bro? Good to see you in the chat. What is up, Mr. Tushy? All right, I'll do it. Ready? Battletoads! Guys, I will say, I am testing out a new mic. Shout out to Osnap and Smell, for hooking me up with a new mic. I am rocking the HyperX Quadcast. I gotta say, I think this is a really nice microphone. So it's gonna, I'm gonna kind of like tweak and do things with it and see how it sounds, all that good stuff. So I hope it's coming off as clear to you guys right now. Hopefully it's better than what I've been using, in terms of, getting my voice out there. Yeah, Happy New Year to everybody in the chat. What is up? I am honored that you guys are hanging out with me today. I am kind of setting some things straight. For people who don't know, I'm on Twitter. I'm fairly active on Twitter, and with being on Twitter, especially in kind of like the gaming community, you get hammered with certain kind of like narratives, certain thoughts and opinions from different gaming communities, stuff like that. So I figure I'd go live, kind of clearing all that stuff out, the stuff we've been dealing with in 2019 and moving forward into 2020. So let's get into it. And as usual, guys, if you want to donate to the channel, the super chat is live. It is active. Not only that, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, definitely subscribe. As usual, YouTube does not like to share out live streams and podcasts and stuff like that. So if you can do me a favor and share this out wherever you go to talk games, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, anywhere you go to talk games, let people know that we are live right now, and we are talking about some things, getting some things out of the way, so this way we can move forward and have a really good 2020 as a gaming community. So for people who don't know, Xbox has shown off their Series X at the Video Game Awards. And with that, of course, there's been a series of rumors, a series of leaks in terms of power between the Series X and, of course, the PlayStation 5. Yo, the chat is popping right now. Yo, Zambilla Ice Cream, Happy New Year to you, brother. It is good to see everybody in the chat. But like I said, showed off the Series X, showed what it looked like, all that good stuff. And I'm not going to get into the aesthetics of it or the name, because that's going to be different for every gamer out there, whether or not you like it, whether or not you think it's a good name. That's all up to you guys. I think it looks cool. I think it looks different. I like different. For people who follow me, I like different. I like things that go against the grain, against, the kind of like status quo of what's being put out there. But within that, there's been this whole power narrative, okay? And people keep talking about power and how it doesn't matter moving forward. And, to a pretty big extent, you're right. It doesn't matter. But this is the launch of new hardware. And within the launch of new hardware, it has always mattered. All right? If you think back to the beginning of this generation that we're in now, Chris, yeah, A lot of people are really digging into the Mikey Barra thing, like looking hard into his words and stuff like that, and kind of coming out with their own generalization of it. Yeah, take it with what you will. I'd never seen you praise Mikey Barra before all this, so I don't know why you're doing it now. But anyway, talking about power, like I said, power has mattered in the beginning of a quote-unquote generation. When new hardware is coming out, power has mattered. And power has mattered when it came to certain things this generation. Take a look back at 2013, the unveiling of the PS4 and the Xbox One. When it came down to it, the Xbox One had a better games lineup. But of course, there were certain things like the price point, the Kinect, and the power narrative that moved forward that people were talking about, the reason why they didn't pick up an Xbox One, even though it had the better launch lineup. Not only that, when power became so much a thing in the beginning of this generation that I believe it was Albert Pinella had to come out, working under Xbox, had to come out and tell people that they would never give Sony a 30% power advantage. Now, if power didn't matter, what made him come out and say that? Because that's what people were talking about. They were talking about power between the systems. All right. Not only that, because of that power narrative, right? Because of PS4 has the power, there were certain games that got hampered, that the hype got killed when it came to quality games coming out on the Xbox. Because within that power narrative, there was the whole native resolution thing, which is, again, all about power. All right, so games running at 900p and not native 1080p were a thing within the gaming media, within the gaming community, within really diehard PlayStation people when it came down to it, in terms of if the game was up to par, or even if the game was any good. All right, games like Sunset Overdrive, which ran at 900p, were looked down upon because of that resolution. All right, and the hype was killed because of resolution when it came to games like Sunset Overdrive, when it came to games like Quantum Break. All right, that power narrative was alive and flowing during that point in time in the generation. And the funny thing was, it wasn't until the announcement of Project Scorpio that things started to change. All right, then all of a sudden, it wasn't about power anymore, and it was about the games. It should always, games should be an important part of it all the way through any discussion. All right. So, people want to say it's about the games. And the funny thing about that was, that was a point in time where Sony started coming out with their first party exclusives. A lot of those exclusives were delayed. Even games like Uncharted 4 was delayed like 5 times. And stuff like that. And what that did was that created where there was a gap from the beginning of the generation to the middle of the generation when it came to PlayStation in terms of their big budget exclusives. And then it bunched them all up to release from the middle of the generation going into the end. So when people are out there like it's all about games and stuff like that, these were the same people that it didn't matter if there were AAA exclusives coming out in the beginning to the middle of the generation, and they were praising indies because that's what Sony was doing. Sony was like, yeah, well, we have our hand out there when it comes to the indie developers, telling the indie developers to come over here to PlayStation 4, build your games over here, and that's what the narrative was really about. They were supporting the brand. Okay. Dude, I usually have a typo in my titles. Thank you, Lanceville, for letting me know. I usually have a typo in the headlines. The gaming community, look back as we move her forward. I got you, brother. I will fix that. But so when it comes down to it, people who say like power doesn't matter and completely talk about games, I did not see them the beginning of this generation when Xbox had the better launch lineup say it was all about games then. All right. Now, power is not the end all be all. Trust me. But these people that were talking about resolution and stuff like that beginning of this generation, you guys got to deal with the monster that you created when it comes down to it. If you were talking about power and resolution beginning to the middle of this generation and then switched over to games when PlayStation no longer had that narrative, then you created the monster of constantly going after people who prefer Xbox about the power narrative, about the resolution, and you didn't, you just kind of didn't let them do with what they were doing with having the games coming out on Xbox. And that whole narrative was created by the back and forth that was going on. I was completely I was upset that Sunset Overdrive. I felt like it didn't get the support it deserved. Quantum Break didn't get the support it deserved. All right, and I had people DMing me on Xbox when I was playing these games. Like, are they good? Are they good? Because what's the overall resolution? I heard it was 900 and stuff like that. And when it comes to games being good, it's not about the overall resolution. A game being good has a bunch of things wrapped into it. It has to have, in the case of story games, a good story. It has to be immersive. The gameplay mechanics have to be decent at least. When it comes down to it, and it wasn't, that's not what was going on beginning of this generation. So when it comes to power, and people are saying, well, power doesn't matter. Power does matter, all right? To a certain extent, moving forward, we see it time and time again. Every time a new generation comes out, people want to know what is the more powerful system. And with that being said, I know people will throw the Nintendo Switch into it and how good Nintendo has done with the Switch in terms of people, picking up the system, playing the system, that, power doesn't matter because when it comes down to it, the Switch is the least powerful system that is out there right now. Now, first off, you guys know my thoughts on what the Nintendo Switch is. People are like, it's a hybrid because you can plug it into the TV, but yet you can bring it out with you and it's portable. It's a handheld, people. It's a handheld that can be plugged into your TV, which is why it is the least powerful system. It's a handheld. And to prove that point, only Nintendo can make a piece of hardware that can plug into your TV or you can take out portable, right? Have that be a success and then say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take one of those features out in this new set of hardware with the Switch Lite. We're going to take out the ability to plug it into your TV. All right. We are going to drop the price on it, but it's going to be strictly portable all the way through. And that thing is a huge success as well. All right. One of the key things to Nintendo Switch's success is the fact that it is portable. I said it before, I'm going to say it again. It is the world's most powerful handheld. And I'm glad that Nintendo is doing well with it. For people who don't know, we had a Wii U in the house that, me, O-Snaps, and the kids would play together. And I like Nintendo. All right? So I'm glad to see that they are doing well. But don't bring that in there as in, well, see, power doesn't matter. All right? Because it does. And the thing is that Nintendo is a handheld. And I'm glad they're doing good. Now, with that, let's move into the whole cartoony aspect of video games. Because this is something that has been hammered, right to me when it comes to, because there's games that I'm excited about. There's games that I play that are cartoony. And people out there are like, we don't want that cartoony garbage. Guess what? The majority of Nintendo titles are Nintendo first-party cartoony games. And that proves right there that, when it comes down to it, gamers do like cartoony games as well. People settle for this narrative, or people see the arguments between Xbox and PlayStation, and they just get caught up into it. Now, I am a fan of all types of games, all right? I play a wide variety of games. So when Xbox comes out and they show Rare's, like a teaser for Rare's new game called Everwild, and people are like, oh man, it's a cartoony game. Like, why would you get upset about that? There is a place for games like that. And I don't understand the narrative that it's like, well, why did they announce that? First off, Rare is known for those types of games. And I can't wait to see what they're doing with that. I can't be excited for Battletoads, all right? Because, when it comes down to it, Xbox has not followed the Sony blueprint of that third-person, heavy story, driven narrative, emotional game, in the last couple of years. They haven't put those out, so why are they announcing a cartoony game? And it's like, well, because people like cartoony games. I feel bad for you if you can't get into them. I'm sorry, that you feel that way. Z Black Rider said, what about affordability? That's the most important. Affordability is definitely the most important. I don't know. We're going to have to see when it comes to affordability, because within Xbox's plans, what we're seeing here is they announce like the Series X, the kind of the system with all the bells and whistles, all the power. And I think everybody is pretty much in agreement that Xbox is going to come out with a lower tier system that's going to be cheaper. So I think affordability is definitely a part of it. I don't think it's all of it, though. You see what I'm saying? Well, dude, I thought it was a pretty good question. All right. But with the whole cartoony aspect, all right, there is a place for cartoony games. Not every game has to be this super emotional, heavy story-driven narrative, for people to get into it. And I don't understand why people would come and try to get like all crazy with me for liking different types of games. I will let you know. Hold on. Brap said something? I'm looking. Okay. All right. So Brap, so the beginning of this generation in 2013, you were talking about getting the Xbox One for the launch lineup then. Is that correct? All right? Because when it came down to it, and we're going to go back to this again, all right? When it came down to it, power mattered at the beginning of this generation. And I know people are like, well, it was the Kinect in there and the price point. I got you. But once all that settled down, the narrative that went into the middle of the generation was Sony has the power. Third-party games run native 1080p on the PlayStation. That was the whole thing. All right? And I remember all that, and I feel weird that, like, if people are trying to forget that. Yo, what is going on? Ice Queen, good to see you in the chat. Hi, Xbot448. It's the marketing that sells the consoles and the exclusive games. And I get that. Yo, marketing, definitely. Marketing is a big factor, and Xbox, at least moving into this generation, was not good with marketing. All right? But I can't deny what I've seen throughout this generation. All right? And at the beginning, going into the middle of the generation, it was all about power. It was native resolution. People making fun of games, saying that they were blurry because they were 900p on the Xbox compared to 1080p. Like, blurry because of that. It's absolutely hilarious what we have gone through. This generation, moving into the next generation. So, power is definitely a thing. I don't know why people would try to toss it out now, besides the fact that Sony finally caught up to their first-party development midway through this generation, and they have been pumping out first-party games from the middle to the end of this generation. They have, all right? And they built it all up that way. Before the middle of this generation, people were hyping up indies on the PS4, which is right in my wheelhouse when it comes to that. Because, like I said, I like all types of games. And then with saying all types of games, the whole cartoony aspect really needs to get thrown out the window. If the game's not for you, I understand that, all right? That's all well and good. But when you start getting into, this doesn't look good for Xbox because they're showing this smaller cartoony game, and then they're coming out with Bleeding Edge, and they showed Everwild, which is a big, rare game that will be coming out with the series, the Xbox Series set of systems, and people are throwing it out because it's cartoony. Here's the thing. I like all types of games. And I like to see companies back all types of games. And one of my things when it came to the PS4, which, got these highly rated, highly acclaimed games, they were all kind of built the same way. I didn't feel like they had diversity within their first-party lineup. That was one of my biggest complaints when it came to PlayStation. I don't care if a game is rated 10 out of 10 or anything like that. I don't care if the game sold 16 million within its first month or out of 100 million people who own the systems. That doesn't affect me at all. All right? When it comes down to it, I like different types of games. I like going in with funny, cartoony games. I like going in with serious games. I like first person. I'll play third person. I like racing games. I like all sorts of games. A bunch of different types of games. And when it came down to it, the games that people kept throwing at me when it comes to Xbox. Oh, thank you, O-Snaps. I do sound nice. That's awesome. Xbox gave me different types of games. I had an open world pirate game, which, people tried to dog on because it was cartoony. Of course, I have the simulation racer when it comes to Forza Motorsport. I have the open world racer when it comes to Forza Horizon. I have my first person shooter when it comes to Halo. I have my third person shooter when it comes to Gears. Like, I feel like there's diversity there. And that's one thing I would say to Sony is, like, diversify your portfolio, your first party portfolio when it comes down to it. One of the things that I want to see moving forward from PlayStation is I want to see them, kind of like get into the multiplayer space when it comes to their first party. I know The Last of Us had multiplayer and a couple of their games had multiplayer, but I want them to focus more on multiplayer as well as giving out that single player, heavy story driven narrative. I want to see better multiplayer from them. I want to see them embrace the multiplayer kind of like gaming community more. And nobody will talk about that, you know? Well, that I said first party. Basement, Enrique, I was talking about first party. All right, when it comes down to it, third party can go anywhere. PlayStation has a much more diverse lineup of games. Take the games by game developer, Atlas, which are exclusive to PS4. And what we're seeing as well is Xbox change that. The games like the Yakuzas and stuff like that were always on, PlayStation are now coming over to Xbox as well. Yo, Ice Queen, Happy New Year to you. Thank you. Thank you so much for the Happy New Year to me and my family. I definitely appreciate it. But when it comes down to it, the power narrative, don't let people tell you that power just absolutely doesn't matter anymore, because it does. There is a place for it. We've seen it. See, I'm pointing back to instances that prove what I'm saying here. All right? When new systems come out, power is a factor. All right? And whoever isn't powerful enough has a tendency to be made fun of. All right? That's what happened. I've seen it happen. All right? So don't let people tell you that power is not a thing. And another thing is, I don't think that Xbox has to have that Sony blueprint moving forward. I would like for them to do more AAA games. It seems like that is exactly what they're doing as well when it comes to the studios that they have acquired, and at least with like Hellblade 2, what we're seeing from that. Everwild, I want to see more of that. Of course, we got Obsidian, and it looks like they are taking care of what they need to take care of. But don't try to put it out there that cartoony games don't matter, because look at some of the top games being played right now. One of the best, if not the best-selling game all time, is Minecraft, which is a cartoony game. The number one game being played right now is Fortnite, another cartoony game. All right? So that's what's going on here. Cartoony games don't get tossed to the side. They are not irrelevant. Power does have a place in the discussion moving forward. All right? It is what it is. I was thinking there was something else I wanted to say, and I'm forgetting what it actually was. Somebody reminded me, and then I forgot about it again. Sam, what about the other generations? It's funny, Sam, when it came to previous generations, and a lot of people love this whole console war thing, and they think it's great, and they have fun with it, and it's entertaining, and they always point back to the Super Nintendo versus the Sega Genesis. I had a Super Nintendo. My brother had a Genesis, so I was able to play either one. And when it came down to it, I remember Mortal Kombat being a big thing because there was no blood in the Mortal Kombat on the Super Nintendo, but there was on the Genesis. I actually preferred playing on the Super Nintendo more than on the Genesis when it came to a game like Mortal Kombat. I thought the colors were better. I thought the colors were more vibrant. I liked the overall feel. I played more on the Super Nintendo than I did the Genesis. All right. And again, I'm going to say in past iterations, whichever one was more powerful, people talked about it. All right. Even in the 16, 32, 64-bit era, people talked about power. So it's not irrelevant. Yeah, which is, Ice Queen brought up a great point. Godfall is multiplayer, which is a great point. I want to see more on that game in terms of, what it is as well. Because I've heard everything from Godfall being a free-to-play to a $30 game, a game as a service. I want to know what it is. And then, I'm also hearing it's timed exclusive as well. But I want to see more on it. I want to see how, what the game is, how it runs, all that good stuff. But I think first party with Xbox and what Xbox did for exclusives this past generation, I like the diversity that was going on with them. And I wasn't feeling, every high-rated game coming from PlayStation's camp being kind of like that same third-person heavy story and all that good stuff. I want to see a wider expanse, a more diverse set of games. I want to see PlayStation dive deeper into multiplayer, possibly develop a good first-person shooter as well. Here's the thing. Neither company is absolutely perfect, all right? So the people out there who absolutely praise one company and just completely try to dog out the other one is not doing the community any sort of justice, all right? That's what it comes down to. Console wars are not healthy. They're not. You can point to highs and lows from each company, all right? But at the end of the day, when you're sitting there and you're like, people are like, PlayStation is dog shit or Xbox is dog shit, that doesn't help anybody in the community. Shizno says Sony had a more diverse lineup with the PS3. Definitely. I can definitely see that, and hopefully they kind of go back to that. And the thing about the PS3 was, it was just hard for the developers to develop for. When it came to the 360, it was the ease of development and the performance of like the multiplayers and stuff like that contributed to the 360, kind of its popularity within that generation. Popularity with the developers, popularity with the gamers as well. Halo 5 didn't come out till fall 2015. I know. Dude, and I no-life that game when it came out. Cleaning up dog shit is dog shit. See, Salty, I'll agree with you on that one, brother. Christopher, you say console wars are never healthy, but yet you contribute to them like all the time. And I'm doing my best to not try to contribute. I do have criticisms on each side, on Xbox's side, on PlayStation side, and even on Nintendo side as well. But completely championing one side and saying everything they do is absolutely perfect just doesn't make sense to me, and it doesn't help out the community. All right? Like I said, I do my best not to. See, sometimes people, they take my criticism and they just roll it up. And they say, well, that's a console war thing. And then these console war soldiers go out there with quotes and they hammer those out into the community. Anybody who has gamed with me, anybody who knows me, anybody who follows my content knows what type of a gamer I am. All right, so I don't think I have to prove that to anybody. But even moving forward into this year, I will keep it in mind in terms of what I'm saying and how I'm saying it out there to the gaming community. I'm excited, guys. Here's the deal: we're getting new hardware this year. All right. Instead of going back and forth about why this one's going to be dog shit, why that one's going to be dog shit. From what I'm seeing from like the rumors and stuff, I think there are going to be key differences between the platforms. But at the end of the day, we're getting a huge leap forward when it comes to the PlayStation 5, the Series X, and possibly the Series S moving forward. Even if it's just on the CPU side, which I think it's going to be more than that, we're getting a huge leap forward. Just be happy it's coming, people. I will report on any rumors and stuff that I see that I feel is interesting, that I feel have some credibility to them. But I'm excited. This is going to be the first time that I'm going through into a, like I said, I quote new generation all the time. I quote it because Microsoft's like, oh, we're not using generations anymore. But we're moving into a new generation, and this is the first time I have a YouTube channel where we're doing it. Yeah, exactly, man. And Reek, man, we're not too far apart on a lot of things, brother. I will let you guys know that I have grown more as a YouTuber the last couple of years. When I first started, I was an admin for Next Gen's Facebook group. It was called Bang Bang, and it was all console war stuff. All right, and that fueled a lot of my early content. It really did, because I got tired of people hammering the Xbox so much when I was playing my Xbox and having fun with it. I was like, well, it can't be that bad if I'm having fun with it. You know what I'm saying? So at the beginning of my YouTube channel, like I said, I came from a console war Facebook page. I've grown since then. Yes, Rain, I am 7'2". No, dude, I'm only 5'10". My son is like 6'4", though, which is weird. And I'm going to continue to grow as a gamer and as a YouTuber. And I just want to say, I do appreciate all the support. Everybody who follows my channel, checks out my content, plays games with me and stuff like that. It means so much, man. I can't say it enough. You guys are absolutely incredible, and I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm expecting growth on this channel moving forward, especially through 2020. It's an exciting time. I can't wait to hear more about the new hardware. I have a couple questions on the PlayStation 5 side in terms of ray tracing that, I haven't gone out there and made a video about it yet, because I really want to really see what's going on and have kind of like a good map before me with the information I have so far, before I come out and say anything to the rest of the community. But that's pretty much it, guys. Like, in terms of the power narrative, one big thing here. Big thing. This is a big gripe I have with the Xbox community this generation. All right? This generation we're in right now, and I hope it doesn't move over to the next generation. Guys, don't let other people control the narrative. All right? It is fine to criticize, Xbox or PlayStation. It's fine to criticize the console that you prefer. But when you let people, like when it comes to a narrative about native resolution, and you let that kind of like dictate the games that you play, that makes no sense to me. Games like Sunset Overdrive and Quantum Break deserved a sequel. But I feel like when it came to the gaming community out there, because of the articles that were being put out there, because of social media being such a key component in this generation, people were listening to the 900p narrative. They were listening to this whole thing, and they didn't even give games like Sunset Overdrive and Quantum Break a chance. All right? When it comes down to it, you look at the PlayStation extremists, right? And they can have, whatever game is announced, and it's going to be great. I've never seen PlayStation guys let a narrative affect the games that they're excited about. Never seen it. But I've seen it in the Xbox community. Guys, I love you guys to death. I love the community that I game on with the Xbox One. But you cannot let narratives dictate whether or not you're going to be excited for a game. I won't let that happen, which is why I scream Battletoads on different podcasts and stuff like that, even though people on the panel could hammer me for it. I'm excited for that game, and I'm not going to let anything that anybody says kill my excitement, my fun, or my enjoyment. I'm never going to do that. Rain said the media had a strong hold on the narratives. Yeah, but brother, we don't have to listen to them either. Do you see what I'm saying? We don't have to listen to them. If you're excited about a game, anything that you see from the game looks good and you're excited, dude, don't let anything distract you from that. If there's a game you're like, damn, I can't wait to play it, I can't wait until it releases, then all through that, buy the game and play it and see if you like it. That's pretty much where it goes. Lansville Paul said, so you see where most of the problems come from. Dude, that was one of the things within this community. Again, like I said, I love you guys to death, but when I saw people running with narratives that were being created by people who couldn't care less about the system that you were playing on, I was like, why are you letting that happen? Why are you letting them dictate your excitement for a game? I didn't understand that. If more people went in, bought Sunset Overdrive, and played it, I think that narrative would have been different. Same with Quantum Break. Quantum Break, the way Quantum Break ended, I needed a sequel to that game. Because the ending was like, oh my goodness, I can't wait for number 2. It was one of those endings, all right? And unfortunately, we don't know if we're going to get one now. When it comes to Sunset Overdrive, I hope Insomniac makes a sequel. Even though, like, I know it's going to come out for PlayStation. And if you looked at Insomniac the last couple of days with their Twitter, Sunset Overdrive was the second game they had the most fun developing. And if you look at the comment section, a lot of PlayStation people are like, yes, we can't wait. Bring number 2. We can't wait for number 2. And the thing is, they won't let any narrative squash their excitement when Sunset Overdrive 2 does come out and it comes out on PlayStation. So, moving forward, people, do not let other people tell you if you should be excited for a game or not. If there's a game trailer that you see, if there's a game that's announced that you feel something on the inside that you're excited to play, don't let anybody tell you different. All right? Because at the end of the day, there are different people out there with different motives. There are people who just want to absolutely shit on PlayStation and say it's a horrible system and there's nothing good about it. And if they can get PlayStation people to think the same way, that's what they want to do. And the same thing on the Xbox side. There are people out there that want people to say Xbox is absolute garbage and there's nothing good about that system. And the more you fall into their narratives, the more they're like, see, we told you. We told you. Not even that game. You don't even want to play that game. Don't let narratives dictate your excitement for games coming out. And with that being said, guys, I gotta go and I gotta play some video games. I haven't played my first game of 2020 yet. It's gonna be interesting to see what it is. As usual, guys, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, definitely subscribe. As you hear, we are investing in this channel. I do have a new mic that I will be tweaking, all that good stuff. New content coming to this channel. A new podcast, a new season of the next podcast, more gaming live streams, more gaming news videos. Everything is in the pipeline for this channel in 2020. Guys, it's been a blast. This entire generation, I've been here on YouTube for most of it. I can't wait to be on YouTube for the entire next generation as well. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you for all the support. If you haven't done it yet, hit the thumbs up on this video. And of course, Happy New Year's to everybody out there. I will be talking to you again very, very soon. But for now, this is the Xbot 448, and I am definitely signing off.
I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back, tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression is all that I wanted. The phone and affection, I summon and dub it. Cause I got problems on problems.